Infinite life and power man possesses. This power is of the spirit, therefore it is unconquerable. It is not the power of the ordinary life or our infinite will or human mind. It transcends these because being spiritual, it's of a higher order than either physical or even mental. This power lies dormant and is hidden within man until he is sufficiently evolved and unfolded to be entrusted with its use. Thought is a spiritual power of tremendous potency, but this is not the power of which we speak by. Man can either raise himself up and connect himself with the powerhouse of the universe, or cut himself off entirely from the divine inflow. His thought is his greatest weapon because by it he can either draw on the infinite or sever himself in consciousness, but not in reality from his divine source through the divine spark within him. His real self is connected with the infinite divine. The power is his if he realizes that they are his. But as long as he is ignorant of his oneness with the divine source of all life, he is incapable of appropriating the power that is really his. If, however, he enters into his inner knowledge, finds himself the possessor of infinite power and unlimited resources, this power is God's. It is also man's, but it is not revealed to him until he is fit. To be entrusted with it is only when man realizes his oneness with his divine source that he becomes filled with its power. Many teachers lament to the fact that certain secrets are being spread and broadcasted today, secrets that in the past were kept closely guarded. They fear that the unilluminated and uninvolved people may make destructive use of spiritual power. It is true that strong personalities who have a great belief in their own power to achieve and succeed draw unconsciously on hidden powers and thus are able to raise themselves high above their fellows. However, they can utilize spiritual power for base purposes, but it's limited and is not to be feared and used well. There are others, of course, who are misusing their powers. There are all black magicians, and while they maybe do certain amount of harm, they become reduced ultimately. There are also others who spend the whole of their spare time searching for knowledge of this very subject, and they read every occult book and they can lay hands on, but they never find that for which they seek. There are spiritual powers and influences that withhold the eyes of the seekers from seeing until they are ready for the revelation. When man is in his search for truth, given up all selfish striving after unworthy things and has ceased to use his self-will in conflict with the greater will of the whole, he is ready for the revelation of his oneness with the infinite. Yielding implicably to the will of the whole may seem to the unilluminated an act of weakness, yet it is the entrance to a life of almost boundless power. Man is not separate from his divine source and never has been. With the infinite, the separation which he feels and experiences it in his mental state, and so it is due to his blindness and unbelief. But man can never be separated from spirit, for he himself is spirit. He is an integral part of one complete whole. He lives and moves, has his being in God, and God dwells in him. The majority of people are unaware of this. Intimate relationships with the divine, and because they are unaware or because they refuse to believe it, they are in one sense separated from the inner life of God. Yet his separation is only in their thoughts and beliefs and not in reality. Man is not separated and can never be. Yet so long as he believes that he is separate and alone, he will be as weak and helpless as though he actually were. As soon as man realizes the truth of his relationship to the infinite, he passes from weakness to power, from death to life. One moment he's in the desert, afar, weak, separate and alone. The next he realizes that he's nothing less than a son of God, with all the son's privileges and power. He realizes in a flash that he is one with his divine source. He can never be separated. He awakens also to the fact that all the power of the infinite is his, to draw upon, that he can never really fail, that he is marching on to victory. It will thus be seen how great is the power of man's thought. While thought is not the power of the spirit, it is the power by which man either connects himself up with the infinite. In a sense, man is what he thinks. He is if he thinks he's separated from God and cut off from his power, then it is. Material being, he lives the limited life of a material being and is never able to rise above. But if on the contrary, he thinks and believes that he is spiritual, then he finds that he possesses all the powers of a spiritual being. Again, if he thinks that his work is difficult and that he is not equal to his tasks, he finds that really his tasks are difficult and beyond his powers. Yet, on the other hand, if he believes his work is easy, or at any rate within his powers, he finds that such is the case and that he can do his work with ease. The power within his infinite, by faith in it, man is directly coupled up with the spiritual power of the universe. The divine spark within him connects him to the sacred flame, thus making him potentially a god in the making. A change then must take place within man before he can enter into his divine inheritance. He must learn to think after the spirit as a spiritual being instead of after the flesh. As a material creature, like the prodigal son, he must come to himself and leave the husks and the swine in the far country, returning to his father, where there is bread of life.